Finding motivation to do anything can be tough. We'd rather lie in bed, hum a song, or stare at the ceiling than go to the gym, record a video, study, or respond to that email. I think that we can all agree that we've all been there. To be completely honest, at least once a week, I don't feel the motivation to do anything. I'd rather just listen to Olivia Rodrigo's new album than do just about anything in the world. And for some of us, it happens more frequently than we care to admit. So today I want to chat about why you don't need motivation to do anything. But before I get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell button so you get all my new videos. Before we tackle motivation or the lack thereof, we need to identify some negative motivation patterns that hold us back. David Burns identified 13 of these negative motivation patterns in his book, Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy. And if you're interested in learning more, I will suggest that you read the book. I'll leave a link in the description below or somewhere in this video. But I am more interested in 3 of these negative patterns because I have found out that this is what holds me back the most when I am demotivated. So the first of this negative motivation pattern is overwhelming yourself, where you magnify a task to the degree that it seems impossible to tackle. And second to that is undervaluing the rewards. So you feel that the reward simply won't be worth the effort. And then there is perfectionism, where you defeat yourself with inappropriate goals and standards. Now that we have identified these patterns, the rest of the video will make more sense, and I'm going to share the one reason why you don't need motivation and 3 ways to get anything done faster. There was this really cool experiment by psychologist Ari Hallow where he gave 8 rhesus monkeys a mechanical puzzle. Since these monkeys will receive neither food nor praise if they solved the puzzle, Ari thought that they would not concern themselves with solving the puzzle. However, the monkeys gave it a go, recognized how it worked, and without exterior incentives, solved it with great enjoyment. It's the same story with Quora, the social Q&A website. Thousands of people log on to Quora every single day, writing answers that is as lengthy as a blog post with no monetary reward, no promise of fame, no nothing. In contrast, Microsoft Encarta, entrusted to the hands of well-paid professional authors and editors, was closed down some years ago. And there have been several experiments conducted to prove that when motivation to perform an activity is driven by external rewards such as payments, a trip to the spa, a trip to Disneyland, motivation for such an activity can be short-lived because this external reward affects your attitude towards that work. Whereas when motivation to perform an activity is driven by intrinsic rewards, that is fulfillment and satisfaction, motivation to perform that activity is more long-lasting. This pushes us, me, to ask tough questions like, why do I want to do what I want to do? Do I want to study so I can get a certificate to land a job, or am I studying because it gives me satisfaction? Would it be so difficult to record a YouTube video if I had 100,000 subscribers versus now that I have 400 plus subscribers? My conclusion is, it is much easier for me to be productive and for me to feel motivated when I am driven by intrinsic motivation and not majorly by extrinsic motivation. But even when we are driven by intrinsic motivation, sometimes we still struggle to find motivation, and this is where I recommend my age-old zombie method, which I call pause, 1, 2, 3 action method. What do they say now? Desperate times calls for desperate measures, and I developed this method because what needs to get done regardless of how I am feeling. This is a method that has worked for me, and I hope it works for you too. But before we go any further, I need to give you the full gist of this method. One of my favorite movies of all times is Walking Dead. Way too many zombies, so I hope that didn't scare you. But one of the things we see with these mythological creatures is they don't feel, they just do. And we're going to come back to how that relates to the pause 1, 2, 3 method. It is likely that when you're not feeling motivated to do anything, you're in 2 states. You could be in a state of rest or in a state of motion. In a state of rest, that is, let's say you were lying down. Here is how the pause 1, 2, 3 action method plays out. You pause sharply for a second, take the first step, which is to lift your body from the bed, Take the second step, which is to move your legs to the floor. Take the third step, which is walk straight to your task. Then action, which is to do the task. It's the same thing when you're in a state of motion, doing a different task that you set out to do. So let's say you were watching a movie instead of studying. What you do is you pause all of a sudden in the movie, take the first step, which is to stand up, get your textbooks or laptop, which represents the second step, sit at a desk, which is the third step, flip open your textbooks, which is the action. Notice that all the movements imitate that of a zombie because this method follows a process and not a feeling. Since I started using this method years ago, it has yielded incredible results for me, and within minutes of starting any task, I start settling in and even start enjoying what I am doing. So, mission accomplished. Part of the reasons why we are not motivated is that there are just too many hoops to jump through before we accomplish any task, whether that is cooking, cleaning, running an errand, having a difficult conversation, or studying. In marketing, the more tabs a user has to click before a purchase, the more drop-offs the business is going to experience. So when you visit sites like Amazon, you can make a purchase in just one click. It's the same thing with motivation. The more obstacles you have to face before the task needs to be completed, the more difficult it will be to find the motivation for that task. If I know that I'll be working out on Tuesday, what I do is on Monday, I sort out all the hoops that would prevent me from working out on a Tuesday. Another thing that I do is I sleep in my workout clothes, so I know that I'm going straight from my bed to working out. More often than not, you already know the task you have outlined for the next day, and you also know how much you need to attend to this task, but you probably won't because you don't feel highly motivated. However, by preparing in advance, you can better equip yourselves to be motivated enough to do that task. For instance, the biggest reasons why I am so unmotivated to cook is because 1 or 2 ingredients is always missing in my fridge, and I am so unmotivated to run to the store, run back, make sure that all the ingredients are prepped. So what I do is I make sure that all the ingredients are laid out on the kitchen cabinet, the meat is defrosted, so I can get into the kitchen and be out in under 60 seconds. It's the same with recording a YouTube video. When I have to record a video, the first reason why I am so unmotivated is that I have to think of all the layers before the actual recording. But by making sure my outfits are already ironed, my set is arranged, my memory cards are emptied, my camera battery is set, the biggest hurdle has been crossed. But since I cannot do my makeup beforehand, I wish, all I have to do is do my makeup, get into my clothes, and just hit record. That way you don't have to complete the pause 1 2 3 action method. You can just go from pause to taking action. To find motivation, David Burns recommends a technique called Little Steps for Little Feet in his book, Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy. And basically what the author was saying was that by breaking down your work into smaller bits and assigning a time limit to each bit, you can be more productive. I find it more difficult to be motivated when the task is a huge task because I'm constantly asking, where exactly do I start from? And even if I do this part of the work, is that enough? I've personalized this technique, and what I do is to set a start time, end time, and a reward time system. Let me break that down. Let's say I want to clean my house. When I think about cleaning the whole house, I get overwhelmed. However, I can break this into smaller sections. So I will start by listing out all the rooms to clean and then set a realistic time to clean each room. Once I am done cleaning the room, I can then reward myself with a 15 minutes break without feeling guilty that I have pending work. So this is kind of how the Pomodoro technique works. For example, if you've not heard of the Pomodoro technique, it's basically where you break your work into smaller tasks and then you can have like a break in between. And so some people will do 25 minutes work and 5 minutes break, or the more popular one, do work for 50 minutes and then take a 10 minutes break. And so this is kind of what I do, but I had a reward system because sometimes this task that we may feel unmotivated to do, the reward is more long term and that kind of demotivates us. But if I can get immediate reward from the task, then I'm going to feel more motivated to do that work. To wrap up this video, I just want to say that sometimes feeling unmotivated is inevitable for one reason or the other, and at that point you can take it for what it is, which is just a feeling that would pass. However, it is when that feeling stays with you, where you're constantly unmotivated to do anything, that is when you really need to work on it. If this video has provided you with some value, do give it a thumbs up because it helps this video be discovered by more people in search. I would also like to connect with you, and I would like to know what you think about this video, so please leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.